Hello, everyone. My name is Lola Wusu, and we are here with the Black Design Collective Talks with AK Brown. She is a multifaceted fashion influencer, stylist, and professional who knows men and women sorry, we're doing that again. Who knows? I said knows. Oh, that's so sad. I was excited, but here we go again. Okay. Welcome to the Black Design Collective. My name is Lola Wusu, and we are here with the AK Brown, a multifaceted fashion influencer, stylist, and professional who shows men and women that society's views on body image is bull. I'm not going to say the rest, but is bull. She shows them how you look and feel trendy, fashionable, and confident no matter what size you are. She has built a following based on her personal style and how she transforms her clients from self-doubting into bold, self-reliant, fearless fashion goers. She soon plans to launch a high-end clothing line and fashion studio in St. Louis this year, and we get the chance to talk to her, meet her, and understand where she has been and where she is. So thank you so much, AK Brown, for joining us today.
Of course. Thank you so much for having
me. Fabulous hat and glasses situation. I love it.
Yes, this is my go-to. And then people are always like, are those prescription? I'm like, yeah, I'm blind as a bat. So I always try to make sure with my glasses, they're a talking point. I always get stopped like, oh my God, I love your glasses. Like that's how the people at Starbucks know me now, because they know it's the girl with the glasses.
That's so fantastic. You know what's so funny is when I was a kid, I wanted to be known as the girl with the glasses. And I've had 20/20 vision my whole life. And and my mom was like, don't ever wish blindness on yourself. But it's just one of those things. I love how
yes.
So like this bespoke piece on your face that you can do and say so much about. Yes. And I was like, I'm just working with my eyes. And but I digress. So where are you now, and where are you from?
I am from St. Louis, and I'm here in St. Louis, born and raised. I've been in a few places, but always gravitate back towards St. Louis, Missouri. So that's actually where I am right now.
Ah, lovely, lovely. At home, in your comfort. I love it. Yes. And I'm sure that you have a lot of history in different spots of St. Louis, like what you feel. And I love that aspect. So you could bring that to the table with what you do. Definitely. So growing up in St. Louis, like, how did you get to this point where you like knew, felt, and was fashion?
So I've always been into fashion. I think very much first off with my mom. She's very fashionable, and more so it was like, you know, your image is the perception that people are going to see of you when you walk into the world. So she was very adamant to instill that in me and my brother. My aunt specifically, you know, when I was around like 9, 10, 11, I would spend a lot of my time with my cousins, and she would like give us these sewing projects. And, you know, I didn't realize the impact that has on me now, but, you know, kind of going into middle school, into high school, my mom gave me like as a gift, like a subscription to Vogue and Elle and Harper's Bazaar. And so I would take those magazines and kind of like make my own renditions of like what they had, you know, for that season's collections. And so, and then also just kind of being in St. Louis, you know, a very urban street style vibe. You know, I grew up in the era where Nelly blew up. You know, Nelly is everybody's cousin. So, you know, I grew up in the era where, you know, we were wearing Air Force Ones and jersey dresses, and the Band-Aid on the face and stuff like that, not realizing how, again, that was kind of the start of street style and streetwear, and how hip hop in our culture as Black people in the Black community really contributed to mainstream fashion.
Yes. I love all of that. I also love the memory lane you just put me on.
Yes.
I cannot forget the first pair of Air Force Ones. I also remember the homies wearing Band-Aids on their face in
Yeah.
class. And their teacher being like, "What happened? Did you get in a fight at
Like,
basketball?"
no, it's like this is style. Come on, teach, get with it.
I love it. I love it. So when did you realize, okay, you're creating this moment, you were part of this. It's amazing that you had projects to sew at such a young age.
Yeah.
That I wish I had. But when did you realize, okay, there's this thing that is me,
Yeah.
but now I can make it a career?
So first off, 16, I tried to do a clothing line. And then when I got into college, I soon realized, so I do not classify myself as a designer in any way, shape, form, or fashion. I realized that my sewing skills are bare minimum basic. I am being in the company of really talented designers, for example, like Michael Shed, who's been on Project Runway so many times, that's from St. Louis. It's like, yeah, no, that's not my lane. I know that. So college was really for me the time to really understand what I was as far as fashion. So when I came back to St. Louis after having my daughter, I went to a fashion institute here in St. Louis. And my whole thing was, okay, I'm switching my major because I have to be a little bit more practical because I now have a human to take care of. How am I still going to make a name for myself in the industry? And so I Googled, it was like, start a blog. And like, what do you mean start a blog? Like just talk about stuff and people read it? Okay. So I started my blog, my first blog, Mind of a Fashionista, in 2013. And so that's kind of how everything started to elevate. I realized that I liked talking about fashion and people liked my style to where they were looking for what I thought was in, what I thought was out, how to wear this, how not to wear this.
Yeah.
And so that is what has elevated, honestly, the brand that people see now as just the AK Brown brand. And then going, from influencing and blogging to, styling, because people would always be like, well, can you help me, put this together, put this together. And then that translating into creative projects. So yeah, I realized early on that I am more so like a fashion commentator. I am, a stylist. I can tell you what to wear. I can tell you what not to wear and stuff like that. And then with the whole clothing line that I am now developing now, my 9 to 5 for almost 5 years was product development, which a lot of people don't realize is a job and a career in the fashion industry. So I was the product developer and sourcing manager for a company here in St. Louis, and we were in charge of the cold weather hats, scarves, and gloves for companies like Fila, Urban Outfitters, Aldo, Anthropology, Free People, a whole slew of people. And for me, that is what I like the most. I can't design. I can't do design. I can't draw for real, but I can communicate with manufacturers. I can lead a team and I can, take conceptual stuff and turn it into physical products. And so for me, that's my lane. For my, whole clothing line now, I'm working with a designer. I'm working with a technical designer, and then I'm being my own product developer. Design, that's not my realm. Everything else, that's my realm. So that, it was years of, from 16 up until now, I'm 29, trial and error and just diving into different aspects of fashion, because you're not going to know what you're good at or more so what you like until you experiment with it. So for me, it's experimentation, I guess.
I love everything about your story. I love that, yes, this is something that you grew up doing, but you recognized what you liked, what you didn't like. You assessed it in a way that wasn't necessarily like, damned is me. It wasn't like this negative aspect. It was like, okay, let me find out what it is about this that I do like. And you explored it. And someone who also went to fashion school, I know there are a lot of people who after, one first and second sewing were like, what am I doing?
this ain't it. In the school that I ended up transferring to, I liked that the most because it wasn't necessarily even geared towards fashion design. I have 2 degrees in fashion merchandising and retail management. And so I learned everything from fashion buying to, visual merchandising to possibly, running a retail chain. That for me was more my realm than designing. I could even finagle a design, but
Yeah.
sewing it, oh no, no, ma'am, that's not gonna happen. So it's really just figuring out what your realm is and being purposeful with it. And I think that's also, especially now, I think that's a big thing, being purposeful in your intent and what you want to project into the world. You don't have to be good at everything. Find that one thing that you're good at and do that. You don't have to do what's trending. You don't have to do what you assume you should do in order to make your name for yourself. You can make your name for yourself however you want to, as long as you're being authentic and purposeful in your path and your journey.
That's really beautiful to hear. And the fact that you went into blogging when you did, I remember around 2013 thinking like, oh, I'm too late into that world. I'm not going to do it. And that's mainly because I'm not a good blogger, but just the fact that you took it up, you Googled it and was like, all right, let's try it. Like that risk that you took, especially having a child to think about. How did you go from taking this risk to actually making money off of this risk from blogging and realizing, one, people like me, and this is not like a, just a feat that I'm just doing, but like people like me and I can also monetize what I'm doing for this.
So, especially around that time, probably after about a year or two, I was able to really connect with some prominent groups in St. Louis that were a part of the fashion industry, that were creating kind of like their own influencer networks. And then, so 2016 is when Mike Brown happened here. And at that time, I was blogging with my then best friend, and our whole thing was, yes, we like fashion, we like beauty, but at the same time, we should be able to talk about these pressing issues that are going on in our community. And at the end of the day, I pay for this website. If I want to speak my opinion on the killing of Mike Brown, or at that point, that's when Trump was gaining, momentum as our potential president, talking about my feelings regarding that. So we actually decided, as an experiment again, to rebrand and become the only purposely nicheless blog on the market. It worked. We were able to, gain partnerships with people like Mael Organics when they were just coming up, Patron, a lot of local restaurants and hotels in St. Louis, because we were able to demonstrate it doesn't matter what we talk about, whether it's fashion, beauty, politics, cultural issues, even, motherhood, because I would post about my journey as motherhood. We were able to still resonate and connect with our audience no matter what the topic was. And then it got to the point where we were invited to travel to conferences and be a part of panels in order to teach other bloggers how to, even if they didn't necessarily want to be nicheless, how to still resonate with their community and with their audience, no matter what the topic was. So as far as how to monetize, it was really being purposeful as far as like who we wanted to connect with, because we didn't want to represent every company. And I think that's where a lot of influencers and bloggers make mistakes, because they're just trying to see who's going to take the bait and who's going to pay them or give them free stuff. And it's like, for us, a lot of the people that we reached out to were people that we were already consumers of. And so we were able to show, like, we already use your product. Like, here's a video or here's a blog post that we already did before we even reached out to you for money. And then they were like, oh, okay, so you're actually legit, you're the real deal. Here's X, Y, and Z, or here's this, or here's that. So it was easy for us to actually make money, because we were very purposeful in who we reached out to, and we were able to show our authenticity. And I think, especially now in the trend of everybody thinks they're an influencer. Everybody thinks they're an influencer. So whatever opinion you have of that, everybody thinks they're an influencer. And then when they reach out to these companies, they put a bad taste in people's mouth because they feel entitled to, well, I'm an influencer, so give me this or give me that. And it's like, but how are you going to help my business? Yeah. Are you actually going to be able to translate or convert your following into my potential customers? Mm-hmm. We were able to prove that. A lot of people aren't. So that's another thing. We were able to kind of back up what we were talking to.
So how did you back it up? Was it that you, like what analytics did you use to show that this was something that was turning from, you know, interest, and you of course know your customer, which is to say a lot to just every business and anyone watching. It's like, no matter what, is like, know who you're speaking to. So
of course.
Yeah. How are you changing it into the analytics that show like, yes, not only do we use your product, but not only do we know your customer, but our customer is also becoming your customer.
Of course. So first off, Google Analytics is what we use then and what everybody should be using now, because it gives very clear-cut site analytics as far as like how many people visit your site a month, how many unique viewers actually come to your site a month, so how many different people come, their age bracket, where they're viewing from, whether it's within the United States or globally. And then you're able to, especially now on like Instagram, you're able to really see like what that looks like. For example, what kind of interest are they in? How much money do they spend? Basically, you're able to kind of paint the picture. Yeah. And then for us, because a lot of those companies, we were a part of like their affiliate network. So that helps us by taking their link that they provided to us. And then by using that link, we were able to show, well, we had so many people click on your site. So then you could tell us, did those people buy? Oh yeah, they did buy. Okay, so then that was us able to prove the conversion. And now even with my platform just as AK Brown, and I actually just checked today before we got on, it's not even the end of April and I already have 16,000 views on my website with 1,300 unique viewers, which is, it's pretty sizable. Yeah. So, you know, that's information that I take, it's on my website now. So I have like, for example, if you as a brand wanted to work with me, you will go to my website /work with me, and then we'll have screenshots from the past 3 months with the analytics, my target audience. You know, my people range from between 25 and 34, about 80% women, 20% men. This is what they usually like. That's why they're coming on my website. And then, especially if you're a blogger or influencer, a media kit is something that you definitely need to invest in. It's basically a resume as an influencer or a blogger. It shows who you are, those analytics, what services will benefit that brand. And then that's kind of like the starting point, just like a resume. Okay, I'm sending my resume for a job interview. They'll look over it. Okay, they'll invite for an interview. So with a media kit, you send that to a brand, they'll look over it, and then it starts the conversations and hopefully negotiations as far as, okay, well, if you can do like 1 reel, 3 Facebook posts, 3, you know, feed posts, we can give you X amount of dollars or this much product, stuff like that.
I love all of this. You just gave us a master class.
Right, like a master class.
Like for anyone's business as well, because there's no way to do this life without this, like, this new form of media attention. So just even thinking about every business that I'm connected to and how like we can use that strategy in various ways. Oh, yeah,
like, definitely.
Huge. So thank you on my part.
Of course.
And just in general, I'm sure so many of our members will appreciate that. Thank you. That is of course. So you know all this stuff on the analytics side, and you did business.
Yes.
Yes. But on the other half, on the creative aspect of like your videos being taken and all that, Like, how did you manage that aspect of it, the creative, the clothing, the purchasing of the clothing or the getting up the clothing, all
Yeah.
of that aspect and the creative? Did you
Yeah.
have a team? What was that
Woo.
like?
So I'll say this, because I've been in the industry for 8 years. But I can very much admit, up until probably about 2.5, 3 years ago, a lot of that, as much as people may say that it took off, I know that it did not take off in the way that I know that it could have, because I was very much inconsistent. And then, I kind of took a break, and that's why I ended up rebranding everything just up under my name, AK Brown. Because, and as creatives, I want to kind of get very deep here a little bit. You have to have a come to Jesus with yourself if you're seeing that things aren't progressing in the way that you want to, because it could be that you're the problem. And I'm not saying that in the sense of like you're a bad person or a creative, but for me, I realized that I was not able to manage my anxiety the way that I thought I was. And so that took for me going to a therapist and then eventually getting on anxiety medication, which has helped tremendously. Especially being so busy as a creative, doing this, doing that, being a mom. In my journey, I've gotten 3 degrees. So in school, stuff like that. So, sometimes you have to sit down and be like, okay, you can't do all of this, because I did not have a team. And even now, I'm just now, having an intern, having an assistant. But that's been after 7 years of thinking that I can do everything on my own and realizing I can't. And because you're thinking that you can, you're sabotaging yourself, self-sabotage. So there was a lot of things that I wanted to do at that point, but I basically had to make a priority list. Like, okay, you're rebranding. You need to first reestablish yourself. So that's first before you can do anything. Then if you're successful in reestablishing yourself, then you can start taking clients for styling. Then if you want to do this, then it was basically like I had to push myself to hit certain benchmarks and milestones before I would allow myself to launch certain things, because before I would like try to do everything at once without proper planning. And then I looked chaotic and all over the place. But then I was wondering why people weren't, signing up for the email list or buying this or coming to an event, is because they probably don't trust my process, because I look too unorganized. So for me, it was like I had to fix the inconsistency in order to get to where I am now. So before, didn't have a team. I'm just now getting a team. I'm just now delegating and outsourcing. And even with the clothing line, again, I know that I'm not a designer. So finding a good designer, finding a good tech designer, having my intern come and assist, learning how to delegate and manage instead of trying to figure it out on my own because I want to be cheap, or thinking that I want to be resourceful, when in fact you're, again, self-sabotaging. So to creatives that are watching, self-sabotage is a really big thing. Sometimes you are the issue because you don't want to ask for help, or you think that you can, do everything and be resourceful. No, that self-sabotage can really hinder your brand and your business. And, it's hard for us to admit that we're the problem because we think that we're the best.
Yeah.
But sometimes we're not. Really half the time we're not.
You are the best at something.
You are the best at something, but even then, sometimes you still have to get help in order to be the best that you can be in that respective area.
Those are some gems that I hope everyone is taking, but I know I am taking in.
Yes.
Just because it's just another reminder that you really can't, and you can't do it all by, even if you're good at everything, there's no way to progress.
And that's what the issue was, because, respectively, in anything that I dabbled in, I was good enough to where I could market it and, try to get customers and clients. But again, even if you still want to do it yourself, you got to prioritize. Start with this launch first, and if you get good numbers, then move on to the next thing. Then you can't do it all at the same time, and that's what hindered me, and that's why I'm trying to take in now that everything has blossomed for me after 8 years. It's like, okay, now I know the formula. I need to stick with that formula because I can't backtrack. I can't do that. We got to keep going forward.
I love that you even know the formula and you still have to remind yourself to stick to the formula. I feel like that's life in general, where like, how to succeed, but you have to actually do the work to do the success.
Very so.
So let's get a little more personal. So you figured all this out. Thank you again for sharing what it really was about. What now? What is your new routine? What is when do you wake up in the morning? When do you sleep at night? How do you get all these things done now?
So now I wake up between like 7 and 9, deal with my little fur baby who's right here. And then it's going through my to-do list and going through my planners. And my day can easily consist of, like, this week I'm conversing with my collaboration team because we're meeting up on Saturday for a group photo shoot that we're hoping to get into a couple of magazines. So, reaching out to the other stylists I'm collaborating with, like, hey, what y'all got as far as wardrobe, collaborating and reaching out to hairstylists and stuff like that. Right now, I try to plan out my days or weeks. So, like, for example, on Tuesdays, I'm usually sitting down trying to crank out a blog post. On like tonight, I'm actually recording my first episode of my new podcast. And so going forward on Thursdays, I'm gonna be recording my podcast. Mondays, I try to crank out content for YouTube, so that way it's at least posted once a week. So we're still trying to get YouTube is, I know for a fact, my weakest link. So we're slowly but surely trying to get there. But my day can consist of anything from answering emails to content creation to hopping on a Zoom for a board meeting for Black and STL fashion, which we just completed last week. So it really just varies day to day. I usually try to get to sleep by 10 or 11 because at the end of the day, I also have learned in my self journey, I'm not staying up. I like sleep.
I am becoming the same.
Yes, I like sleep. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs, whether fake or real, that's your opinion to figure it out. I think they put this idea like, well, entrepreneurs don't sleep. Who? Because I sleep. I sleep peacefully in my bed 8+ hours, because how do you expect to get anything done if you're overworking yourself? And I used to do that, and it does not translate good. I would wake up cranky, irritable, wasn't able to focus, really wasn't able to get things done. So I'm pushing myself to stay up late because I didn't get what I need to get done during the day. So no, I have a strict schedule between like 7 to 9 a.m. And at the latest, I try to power down between like 8, 9. And then I'm usually in the bed by like 11. Even if I'm just like not doing anything, I'm physically in the bed. So whether that's me just scrolling on Facebook, playing a game, watching a video, I try to be really strict about that, because at the end of the day, you still need you time in order to be refreshed the next day in order to be productive too.
I love that. I love all of that.
Yes.
So you have all these things that you're balancing.
Yes.
You have a child,
yes.
So you get to see them. Do you feel like, I guess, do you feel like the risk and the time that you're taking, like that you see the benefits from compartmentalizing while balancing at this, like, or juggling, I guess would see at the same time? Or do you feel like balance does not exist? Like, is there like...
So I'll say this. I've told myself probably for the next few years now, especially with everything positive that's happened, there are going to be some things I have to risk, especially when it comes to time. But I'm willing to do that because by the time I'm 35, I feel like I probably won't have to answer to anybody else as far as a job, especially, my whole journey with COVID, I was fired during COVID.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Literally and that's why the podcast is actually launching on Saturday. That's our fired versary.
Wow.
Yeah, so we were fired during COVID. So for one, that just showed me that for a lot of these companies, they try to go to this extent of calling, okay, so we're a big family, but you just fired me.
Yeah.
Knowing that I have a child and responsibilities, and I don't ever want to have anybody have that power over me and over my life. And then during COVID, that's when everything positive happened to me. And that's when basically my brand shot up. And so I know now I have to keep that momentum going for the next few years. So that way, hopefully by the time I am 35, I can do what I want. I can wake up when I want. I can, travel when I want. And then especially for me, being a mother, raising who will be a Black woman in this society, my whole thing in anything that I do, first off, it's for her. So anything I do is for her. I don't come necessarily from a family that we were middle class, but at the same time, I wasn't necessarily left with anything when, for example, my father died 4 years ago. I wasn't necessarily left with anything. I want to be able to make sure that I have my daughter's back, especially when it does come time for me to depart off this earth. And then I want to make sure that I continuously set that example for my daughter, that as a Black woman in this society, you can do whatever you want to do. You're going to have to put in the work, but whatever you want to do, you can do it. And this is how mommy's doing it. And I hope that serves as an example for her to where, well, if my mom can do that, then I can do this and I can do that. Basically she can do whatever she wants, and there's no limits or restrictions on how she envisions her life.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, so I know the sacrifice is gonna pay off. She understands, and she even tries to help and come, and she gets so proud. I remember when I started to get into the magazines, she would have my mom go to the store and she would rip off the pages and put it on her bedroom wall. So I know that it is making an impact, and I'm also grateful to have a really good support system from my family, from my daughter's father's family. He's actually one of my best friends and he supports me in anything as well. So, and also to have that support, you also have in your mindset that you can kind of do what you want when it comes to your business and your brand and for your life, because you know that eventually it's going to pay off and you'll be able to reap the benefits that you've continuously sown.
I love to hear that. I hope that you're proud of who you are.
I am. One of my friends told me, which I'm trying to be a little bit better about. She was like, "You need to stop being so humble." I'm like, okay, I'm trying. I'm really trying. She was like, "I'm gonna come over there and we gonna fight." Girl, stop being humble. I'm like, okay, yes, ma'am. So I am proud of myself. I very much am. I try not to sabotage it, not to be overly cocky, but there are days to where I literally sit and talk to myself like, girl, you did that. Oh my God, you did that. So, I very much am proud of myself.
Good. And I guess, what are you most proud of in your community and the people around you?
Oh my God. I feel like just the community in general, I'm so honored to be surrounded by very talented Black fashion professionals. And the momentum now is we know that we are a force to be reckoned with. And so we are now coming together, especially with our now community, Black in St. Louis fashion, trying to figure out how the rest of the world will recognize and give us our due flowers. And I absolutely love that momentum. It's I didn't realize when I started that photo shoot that it was going to turn into a community. And now it's I have so many people coming up to me, trying to join, trying to be board members, just wanting to help in any way, shape, or form. And it's they recognize the dopeness of our Black fashion creatives, and I am ecstatic. Like it's such an overwhelming feeling, and I'm excited for what the future is to come for that, for all of us in the community.
I love that. I love that. And you know, the Black Design Collective is there to support in any way we can.
Yes.
I love to hear that. That's what makes my heart sing. So as we continue or conclude this chat, although I feel like I could talk to you every day, I just want to learn like so many things. But my last and arguably most important question.
Okay.
If you were a shoe, which one would you be and why?
Oh, okay. So if I were a shoe, and the shoe actually just came out, I would be the Gucci Dad silicone slipper. Now, people love talking about it because they're like, it's a granny shoe, or it looks like an overpriced like dad barbecue slipper. I find style in things that people call ugly.
Okay.
And that's why people gravitate towards me, especially my styling, because I take things, and I've literally had people come up to me talking about, okay, if I was to wear that, I was gonna look like a grandma, but I don't know how you put it together. So can I pay you to show me? I love that. I love those sandals. First off, I'm all about comfortability. If I hate stilettos, I can't walk in them, and I know my place. That ain't me. And then I just love the uniqueness. I actually have some like Doc Marten sandals that look just like it, and they're called like moon boot gladiator sandals. I love them. I rock them. I know how to wear them. I love the little Gucci silicone sandals. They may look like barbecue shoes. Do I care? No. They embody innovativeness, in my opinion, and comfortability, which is kind of what I embody. So that would be my shit. That would be.
I love that so much. I love it. Your explanation. I love how you came to the conclusion, and I love the perspective on what it is. I too love what people cast away as ugly and like making the beauty of it.
I think and what people have to realize is style is subjective.
It's very subjective.
It's subjective. So what people
whatever everyone tells you is ugly, or what everyone else tells
you. Exactly. So, and I want people to understand that style is subjective. So if you think that something is cute or fashionable, wear it, rock it. Who cares?
Figure it out. Well, thank you so much for joining us. This was a very informative, fun, exciting, interesting conversation. I wish you the best on your blog and your Fireversary. I might have to say that. And congrats on your clothing line. We can't wait to see it and support it. Everybody check it out when you can. Make sure to follow you. Where can we find you?
So I am everywhere at AK Brown STL, and then if you go on my Instagram bio, you will be able to follow all of my other brands, including Black and STL Fashion, and my new podcast, Growing with Style, which the first episode launches this Saturday. So make sure to check that out too.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Of course, thank you.
We are looking forward to seeing your growth. Have a good day.
You too. Thank you.